it's like my nerve endings have all had 5 cups of coffee, and they're just kind of like buzzing, and it's been for 2 years. But I decided I would start talking about it around maybe 6 or 8 months ago because I was running into people who were having symptoms more serious than mine and kind of not being believed.
He's not only pushing long COVID legislation, he's a long hauler himself. I sat down with Senator Tim Kaine to check in on how he's feeling, plus find out what Congress plans to do next in solving the mystery behind this lingering illness.
I got COVID in March of 2020 when we were passing the CARES Act, the first big piece of COVID legislation we did. There was community spread starting in DC and other cities, but we didn't understand it that well. And there wasn't even really testing at the time. And I got what to me seemed like a weird blizzard of allergic reactions. I didn't have the traditional symptoms like respiratory or loss of taste or smell. So I just thought, well, I got pollen all over my car, so maybe it's just a really bad hay fever. But then went back and hung out with my wife, and she immediately came down with COVID, a very standard case. And that's when we realized, oh, okay, so this is what this is. By mid-April, we were both feeling fine, except for me, one of the symptoms that I got hit with right when I got COVID, just like this, every nerve ending in my body, and not just fingers and toes, everywhere, just feels like it's kind of buzzing or tingling. There are some real mysteries. Why did somebody with a super serious case of COVID have no long symptoms, and people like me with mild cases could have symptoms? So I've really gotten interested in the research, but also trying to help folks. And I finally decided I would talk about it publicly. It's not keeping me from working or exercising or sleeping, but I decided I would start talking about it around maybe 6 or 8 months ago because that is very disheartening if you are dealing with a physical illness and you find that, people don't believe you. And so when I started to hear from people who were having that experience, I thought, I should just be upfront about dealing with this nerve tingling thing. That way people will at least know there's somebody on the help committee who believes them and who's trying to do something to help. So the bill is the Care for Long COVID Act, and it basically does 4 things. Bottom line is the bill is about patient data, it's about research, it's about dissemination of information, and it's about patient support. The House tends to pass bills like single shot bills. In the Senate, we tend to pass fewer bills, but you're looking to see, is there a bill moving dealing with healthcare? And I'm going to attach my caboose to the train, right? So you file a bill like this long COVID bill, more with the expectation, can I get it attached to one of the big bills that's moving? So for example, this patient data registry, we are doing a pandemic preparedness bill, and I'm going to get that piece of long COVID Care Act connected to a pandemic preparedness bill, which I am confident we will do this year.
On top of President Biden's pandemic preparedness plan, which focuses more on future outbreaks, the White House issued a new effort to prevent, detect, and treat long COVID, investing $20 million to build a better system for long haulers.
To do this, we're launching the first ever interagency national research agenda on long COVID, a national research action plan.
I'm working on 2 related topics right now, and I had a really good opportunity to speak to the president, not so much about long COVID, but about the other piece, which is the mental health aspects of COVID, the reality of what COVID has done and is going to continue to play in American life, and the fact that we've got to do a number of things to address it.
Along with mental health, long COVID poses social and economic burdens for Americans, especially those living in rural or underserved communities.
So it's really focused at, in particular, underserved communities. It does several things. Number one, it authorizes HHS to grant up to $2 million each to healthcare providers, including community health centers. It grants funding for the creation and expansion of multidisciplinary long COVID clinics. It requires grantees who, if you receive taxpayer dollars to do this, then you have to submit an annual report on your activities. But those reports have to include evaluations from your patients. Because for far too long, the voices of underserved communities are not listened to. Patients who are lower income are often ignored, or their opinions are not counted. And this bill says that those evaluations from those patients will be part of that annual report.
If you had COVID and then suddenly things are noticeably different about your life months later, I think it's pretty reasonable to assume right now that it is COVID related. So that would be number one. Now, number two, the piece of advice I would give is, hey, you know what? If you can share your experiences, not only with your doctor, but with a group like Survivor Corps that has done a good job of getting people together, your experiences will help others. Because as we understand more about long COVID, it's not only going to help long COVID patients, it's not uncommon for other viruses to have follow-on consequences. So the more work we do to really come up with treatments and cures for long COVID, we're going to help other people too. So hang in with us, because we're looking for cures for you, but your own willingness to hang in and share information, we'll end up finding answers that may help other people too, which is great.
Up next, we chatted with actress Alyssa Milano, who opens up about her own COVID journey and shares a personal message with fellow long haulers. For NBC New York, I'm Linda Gaudino.